Bioshock is a one-of-a-kind game which all FPS fans should play. I don't think I've ever had such a unique gaming experience since Half-Life 2. The Unreal 3 engine once again shows its power. This time it's being combined with the Havoc physics engine, which is used in Half-Life 2 for the ragdoll physics. This creates a truly awesome game. The first Bioshock media on YouTube I saw was a 14-minute developer preview. They showed you things like the big daddies, the little sisters, and combat and plasmids. I watched it about 20 times because it was so awesome. I've been so pumped for this game ever since then, and it actually exceeded my expectations when I got to play it. The game starts off with a nice intro and then puts you right in there. I don't actually know I was in control of the character when I was because the graphics of the water was so awesome. I've read forums and apparently a lot of other people are like this. They were sitting there for 10 minutes waiting for the character to do something when they're actually in control. This sets up the game nicely for the graphical feast which you'll be enjoying. The game takes place inside Rapture. This is a huge underwater city built by Andrew Ryan who you'll learn about as you play the game. Usually I hate playing indoor games. They're dark and gloomy with no environment and no atmosphere. I found this with Fear. It was an awesome game with some cool slow-mo combat, but I only played about half of it because every room seemed the same, and once you played about 5 minutes of it, it seems that the rest of the game's just the same. Bioshock is one exception to this rule. The detail is just incredible. Most objects are interactable or can be flung against enemies using a power like the 0-point gun in Half-Life 2. They did a good job in making each zone in the game slightly different. It keeps the grand theme of Rapture, but stops it feeling like you're in the same room again and again. The game focuses around these little girls called the Little Sisters. They walk around Rapture extracting Adam out of dead bodies. Adam can be thought of as a fuel or money which can be exchanged for plasmids upgrades. I'll talk about plasmids in a second. They're the powers that you get. They are always accompanied by these guardians known as Big Daddies. As you play through the game you'll learn more about both of them. You possess these powers known as plasmids, which I mentioned before. They can be thought of as magic attacks that you produce from your hand, which include things like ice attacks, electric attacks, fire attacks, or even launching bees at enemies. There's heaps more you can find as you play the game. You don't need them all, but it does give a lot of replayability. Part of the fun means that you can choose the best style of attacks that suit your gameplay. I for one love freezing enemies and then whacking them with a wrench, making them shatter into a million pieces. There's also advantages and disadvantages of each type of attack. For instance, they're easy to kill like this, but they don't leave any loot. The main enemies are known as splicers, who are people who lived in Rapture and had used too many plasmids. Just think of them as drug addicts. There are a few types of them, each requiring different strategies to defeat. Some of them are pretty hard actually. Each area has a certain number of little sisters to find. You have to defeat the big daddies before you can choose to rescue or harvest them. There is a good and bad ending to the game, so obviously if you rescue them all you get the good one, or if you harvest them all you get the bad. The AI is some of the best I've seen. It really feels like a living world when you enter a room and a big daddy and splicer are just duking it out. I should also mention that combat versus a big daddy is really fun, usually taking me a few loads to win without going through all my medkits. During the first half of the game, resources are quite rare, so when you need to kill them you really need to plan how to. Setting up tracks like proximity mines can really help. Okay, I've given this game a lot of praise, which does deserve every bit I've given it, but there's two things which I didn't really like. You can do what's called hacking machines in the game. A successful hack will open a safe or get you cheaper items or get a gun turret to attack your enemies, things like that. To successfully hack a machine, you need to complete this puzzle which sends water through tubes. You have to make the water get to the out arrow by rearranging all the tubes. It's fun for the first few times, but it's the only puzzle you ever get. It would have been nice if there was about 10 puzzles that could come up randomly, but oh well. The second thing I didn't really like about it are photos. During the game you get this camera which you need to take pictures of splicers to get research bonuses. Research bonuses means that once you've taken enough pictures of each type of splicer, you get say a damage bonus against it, or you get these things called combat tonics which work a bit like plasmids, but they're passive, always taking effect. It just got a bit annoying taking pictures of every splicer I saw before I had to kill it. I found I had enough photos of each splicer type by like the last probably 90% of the game, but it was a feature I could live without. You'll need a pretty good PC to run this well. It's a heavily multi-threaded game, so it will take advantage of quad-core CPUs. I was running it on an AMD 9500 Phenom processor and HG 3870 graphics card. Maxed out settings, it ran perfectly well on my 24-inch Dell monitor with about 30 to 60 FPS, which was perfect. So anyone who hasn't played this game, go and buy it now. This is my second favourite game of 2007 behind Orange Box. It's near perfection in terms of story and gameplay. This is a true example of a game that's had a lot of thought put into it and deserves every bit of acclaim it gets. I doubt any game will impress me as much as this did before Half-Life 3